Hello everyone! In this video I want to show you some options on how you can practice your 9-ball end patterns. Very often we mess up the final 2 or 3 balls or the approach to the money ball, to the 9-ball, simply because we don't practice it. Some pros showed me their methods on how they practice those last 2-3 balls, and I want to share them with you. And if you stay until the end of the video, I'm going to show you 2 or 3 really cool shots on how to get out of some predicaments. But let's dive into it right now. Well, miscalculating the position on the final 9-ball happens very often, and it's normal. It even happens to the pros. And very often when we practice 9-ball, we just play. So we got the balls on the table and we just play patterns. And as with the break, which you only do usually at the beginning of the rack, of course, so you only do it once. Then you play a lot of shots, positional shots, etc. And then you have the approach ball to the 9-ball. And usually that's where the problem is. Similar with the break, people don't practice how to approach the 9-ball, as people very often don't really practice the break. So in this case, I'm just getting rid of all the other balls, except, let's say, the 8 and the 9-ball. So I'm just removing all of these balls, and I start out with simple match situations which come up all the time. And in this case I just have to roll in the 8-ball to get perfect position in line with the 9-ball. So that's a rather easy shot. I don't have to do a lot, just high on the ball, and I'm perfect on the 9. When balls are lined up like this, like really in line, then it's very simple. You just have to play a high ball on the white ball, and usually you end up in a very good position on the 9. There's not much to do on shots like this. In this case, just pot the 8-ball with a little bit of bottom left and you're good to go. There's not much else you have to do in a situation like this, and you're good on the 9-ball. Remember the easy 8-ball down on the rail? Let's get back to it, but now a little bit more difficult. Imagine a situation would look like this. So the angle is a little bit steeper. So in this situation, if you would just roll in the ball, maybe something like this would happen. And you don't know where the 9-ball ends up. In this situation it's easy, but it could also get worse. Of course, one thing you can do is put a little bit spin on it, in this case top right. So it could look like this, so you just try to pass the 9-ball, but in this case you really would need to play a very, very soft shot so that the 8-ball drops into the pocket, and you're usually faced with a very long shot still on the 9-ball. It is makeable, but not an easy shot to pull off. Especially in situations where you're maybe a little bit nervous, where your arm is a little bit tight and you're shaking, you're not really sure if you can pull off such a field shot, you can also play a shot like this. So you just go down and you just play a little bit of a harder shot like this, and have the white ball come up over a couple of rails perfectly on the 9-ball. This way you can definitely let loose your stroke and you're perfectly on the 9. If the angle on the bottom 8 in this case is not as steep as it is right now, but maybe very flat like this, you can also definitely think of playing 2 rails in a situation like this, either forward or backward. So forward it could look like this. So you just try to play 1 rail, and via the second rail you just get on the 9-ball, or the other way around, and you just play via this cushion. So bottom left in this situation, and also get on a 9-ball pretty decent. One of the most difficult shots to get on the 9 ball is a situation where the 8 ball is on the top rail and you have a very, very steep angle with the white ball on the 8 ball. It makes no sense in trying to hold the cue ball somewhere in this area and play a soft stroke towards the 9 ball, because this simply would not work because of the steep angle. So in a situation like this, you would need to let the cue ball loose a little bit and have it run a couple of rails. If you're faced with a situation like this, you got also a couple of options to get perfect on the 9 ball. One option could be that you pot the 8 ball, which is difficult enough, and then you just try to have the white ball running a route like this perfectly on the 9. And if you feel a little bit more comfortable with applying spin, you also could really spin the ball into this corner with a lot of top right spin and have the cue ball run a route like this. So let's see if I can pull it off. First shot, just a hair of right on the cue ball, not a lot, just to get perfect on the 9 ball. And as mentioned, just dropping down from the bottom rail and you're perfect on the 9. So second option, now playing with a lot of spin. If you're comfortable doing so, why not? A lot of top right hand spin and you're perfect on the 9 ball once more. When you're faced with a situation like this, that the 8 ball is on the top rail and very close to the pocket, then you can also use the other long rail on the other side of the table to get perfectly on the 9. And if your angle is a little bit steeper, like this maybe, then definitely use the other rail to get perfectly on the 9 ball. All of these shots are speed shots, so this is just a question of practice and getting the feel of the table and of the speed of the table. So this should also be part of your warm-up routine before match or before you start a tournament. Definitely, if you do these kind of shots, then you feel more comfortable when you start playing matches. If the angle in a situation like this is not too steep, you got many options. I just want to show you a few of them. One option could be to go forward, like on the bottom rail. It could look like this. In this situation, I don't want to put too much spin on the white ball because I might overrun the position on the 9. So I try to aim to get here. So I try to get a rather flat angle here, and with a little bit spin, I try to get over here. And that's pretty perfect. So I try to stay high, very close to the middle pocket, so I got a rather flat angle on the 9 ball. So imagine you want to go backwards in this case, so applying draw. And it's the same like going forward. Try to work with as little spin as possible, because otherwise you're in risk of overrunning the position on the 9 ball. So, and as mentioned before, I don't try to put too much spin on the white ball, a little bit, a firm stroke, and try to get perfect on the 9 ball. A really cool method a pro once showed me was that you actually only need 3 balls. That's the white ball, the 9 ball, and the 8 ball. And the only thing you do, you just throw the balls randomly on the table, and it creates many different situations over time, and it forces you to be creative and to find ways to get perfect on the 9. So basically what you could do, the 9 ball usually ends up here somewhere in the middle of the rack, and then you have 2 balls remaining, and then just use those 2 balls, throw them around the table, and wherever the 8 ball ends up, wherever the 9 ball ends up, wherever the white ball ends up, it's a super perfect exercise to get various situations you have to get out, and in this case get on the 9 ball. And as just shown, you can do it over and over again. So you can do it like this. So balls are just running around the table, and wherever they end up, that's the situation you're faced with, and that's a situation you have to solve to get on the 9 ball. If you add the 7 ball into the equation, then it's actually simpler because you got more dots you can connect. So it could look like this. You just throw the balls somewhere around. If the white ball scratches like this, you have ball in hand, of course. But now it's actually simple, because in this case, it's maybe just 2 stop balls and you're perfect on the 9. just start with 8, 9 and white ball, maybe add the 7 ball later on, maybe add the 6 ball later on, but it's a cool game which keeps you busy during training sessions and practice sessions and keeps your mind busy to solve certain situations. And as promised, let me show you some cool options on how to get on the 9. Please share your preferred practice method on how to get on the 9 ball, how to practice this kind of situations. I would be very keen to learn more about how you do it. So in this situation, the 9 ball is on the top rail for whatever reason. One shot is using a 3-railer, 1, 2, 3, and just get to the other side of the table. And the other shot is trying to play the white ball first into this cushion, then into this cushion, and right over here. So in one case you try to play bottom left, and in the other case you try to play bottom right on the ball. The bottom left situation using 3 rails is the simpler way, but not every time you are able to take this route because there might be some blockers on the table, and then you might be forced to play the second option. So that's the situation you are faced with. 9 ball is on the cushion on the table, and the other 2 balls are in parallel a little bit away from the 9 ball, so the only way to get on the 9 is to use whole of the table and some rails to get back on to the 9. In the second shot, it's the same situation, but now you just use reverse spin on the shot. I was confronted with this situation quite often in my life, to be honest, because I overran a position or whatever. So the 8 ball was frozen to the cushion, and also the cue ball was frozen on the cushion. So what you want to do in this situation, with a lot of bottom right, draw the cue ball on this long rail, then let it run to the other long rail, and best possibly drop down to the 9 ball. I hope the shots shown in this video help you to win more matches and to miss fewer positions when you need to get on the 9 ball. Play on, and see you in the next video.